Scott McLaughlin in the red and white car has the early jump.
McLaughlin looking great up front, and it's Newgarden and Will Power teammates side by side as Power goes to the high side.
All clean through 1 and 2 as they funnel down the back straight. Easy for McLaughlin in, but side by side further back, that's the pink, white, and black machine of Kyle Kirkwood on the bottom. Pato O'Ward riding up top in the black and orange McLaren.
McLaughlin leads the first lap. Challenge right now for seconds. And Will Power has moved up to second. Colton Herta, by the way, has already picked up 6 spots on 1 lap.
Marcus Armstrong side by side with Ericsson as Newgarden popping out now, and Roman Grosjean, he's going to get that move done into turn 3.
So it is a forceful display of performance from Team Penske as we're on board with Colton Herta going to the high side on Graham Rahal. He's going forward in a hurry.
Graham's got the draft of that McLaren, I believe, of Rossi up front, or no, Nolan Siegel. He's going to try to make the high line work. Graham had a bit of a later turn in. That gets Dixon up into the mix, but a great run off of 2. Does he have enough to make a move into 3?
Trying to go down on the low side, already up to 19th. 1 more spot just like that. Colton Herta is moving forward. Remember, he is in championship mix. He won the most recent race, his first in 2 years, 3 weeks ago at Toronto.
Let's take a look at how Colton Herta handles the start from the back. Just listen. Oh! That was so close, 4 wide, but he still wants more.
Normally at this phase, when you're this far back, you want to be up high, a little bit cleaner air. He gets boxed in down low, but still gets a great run off of 2 in that dirty air. Let's see what he does into 3, following Nolan Siegel in high. That's Pietro Fittipaldi down on the inside. Gonna clear him and carry that momentum around the outside of 3 and 4. That could have so easily been a disaster on the front straight, T-Bell. They were 4 wide at one point.
Yeah, I mean, it's just blind faith at that point. You just had to roll the dice, and I think Colton Herta knows he does not want to hang out at the back for long. He's got a very fast race car, as Malukas getting challenged right there by Pato O'Ward. O'Ward with a big downshift down to 3rd gear.
I think he accidentally maybe went down to 2nd on that one. Ericsson.
That was Kyle Kirkwood, my correction, not Malukas, and the other AutoNation car out there.
The Andretti Global cars have been very strong this weekend. Ericsson currently running 5th, and he was looking at the inside of the master at Gateway. Joseph Newgarden, who's a 4-time winner here, is side-by-side still. Kirkwood and Grosjean off of 2.
Grosjean looking racy, 6th right now as he gets the pass done on Kirkwood, but he's going to try to go back right around the outside, side-by-side. Kirkwood, and they almost touched.
They did touch. I saw a puff of smoke there. Meanwhile, Joseph Newgarden was making a move on Malukas, trying to make it a Penske 1-2-3, but here comes Malukas back.
Back to 2nd around Will Power, splitting up the Penskes.
And that's Ericsson around the outside of Newgarden, side-by-side. Absolutely nothing between them. Great move from Ericsson. Newgarden kind of balked on the inside there on that low lane, and the caution is out.
Turn 2.
Catherine Legg and Ed Carpenter. Rear wing damage to the number 20 of Ed Carpenter. Not sure what led up to this, James, but it looked like Ed thought he was clear of Catherine, maybe making a pass to the outside, I'm not sure, but somehow the 51 and the 20 get together.
It's still McLaughlin, then David Malukas, Will Power, Marcus Ericsson, who's moving up the 4th, and Joseph Newgarden, 3 wide, a little further back.
I think that was Kyle Kirkwood in the middle of that 3 wide, smartly got out of it. That rarely works out for the guy in the middle, but Colton Herta on the charge as well, as side-by-side Kirkwood, and is that Marcus Armstrong off of 2.
It's a different look for Marcus Armstrong. He's in a red and white American Legion car.
And there's Palou, your championship leader, in that white, blue, and yellow machine side-by-side with the Hunkos Hollinger Racing entry of Connor Daly, who's a master at this track as well, as always run strong here. Grosjean on the high side.
Grosjean making another move to the outside there, looking very comfortable. Remember, this is where he made his oval debut after so many years road racing in Formula One, and he was spectacular on that day.
Pato O'Ward took a look at Joseph Newgarden, can't get it done. Meanwhile, Will Power is going around the outside, and David Malukas is in front. David Malukas, the 22-year-old from Chicago, is leading this race.
Something happened to Scotty Mack as Power and Malukas pull away, and here comes Newgarden. Oh! Is that Daly or is that Grosjean?
It's Connor Daly. Making his debut with Huko's Hollinger Racing, his 11th IndyCar team, announced this week he is replacing Augustine Canapino.
I think we're okay. I don't know, though.
For the rest of the season.
That's looks surprisingly together for a car that's just done a 360 off of 2. We also saw Kyle Kirkwood dive to pit lane. Maybe an issue there with the 27. We'll get back to that, but I think there was maybe contact between the teammates. Oh, you see the front wing damage.
Oh.
He must have got into Daly as he was spinning, or maybe one of the cars in front as they checked up. Everything happens so fast. Oh, suspension
Emergency
damage.
Service only, okay? We can only change a tire if it's flat, okay? 2 seconds of fuel max.
Brian Hurd is saying that on the radio. Emergency service only. That's because the pits are closed immediately on a yellow flag deployment. So this is entering a closed pit. Need to make sure there's no immediate threat to the safety of the car being on the racetrack. Checking the suspension, checking the tires. And Malukas holding on to the lead after some big pressure from Will Power.
Kirkwood was running 7th, by the way. Here is how David Malukas got the lead from Scott McLaughlin.
McLaughlin looks like he was saving fuel, guys.
I was going to say, if they just decided that, okay, we know what kind of fuel burn we have to try to make this on 4 stops. Meanwhile, further back, I think this is what led to the issue. Rinus VeeKay getting crossed up, and then Grosjean gets into the back of Connor Daly.
Kirkwood gets in the back of Kirkwood, who gets into the back of Connor Daly. So bigger damage, I think, to the 27 and the 77 than actually of the 78 of Daly.
Right. Yeah.
We got 2 cautions, a lot of action, oval racing, 5 to go in the IndyCar Championship. 22-year-old David Malukas is in front. Then it's Will Power, Scott McLaughlin, Joseph Newgarden, 3 Penske cars, and then they have been battling throughout the pack.
That second lane is definitely opening up as we see Will Power now wanting to challenge Malukas for the lead down into turn 3. He's going to get it easily as they fall in line through 4.
So it's a Penske to the front, and then Team Penske's McLaughlin and Joseph Newgarden sit 3rd and 4th, and Pato O'Ward in that orange and black McLaren dives to the inside.
He's making moves now. He dispatched with Ericsson off the restart. Now he's side by side with Newgarden, probably going to get that position into 3. Though Newgarden's got the draft off McLaughlin right now. Yeah, that gave him just enough of a pull to stay in front of the number 5. And look at Joseph hanging it outside there. That's exactly what we want to see at this early stage of the race. Track temp starting to come down. We started this race at 115 on the track temp, down to 111. This track's just going to keep getting racier and racier as this night goes on.
4-time winner of this race is in. They've been working on balance all weekend long. There's going to be a front wing adjustment just by a turn, but tires and fuel for Joseph Newgarden.
So 2 of the Penskes have stopped. Scott McLaughlin, the pole sitter who gave it up to save fuel, is back in front. Marcus Ericsson behind him. Now McLaughlin, in the Dex Imaging Chevy, comes down the pit lane. So everyone has made at least 1 stop now.
Nolan Siegel cycles up to the front. Dylan as McLaughlin in the pits.
Pretty efficient work from Team Penske to have all 3 of their cars there within 1 lap of each other, despite kind of swapping positions up at the front. McLaughlin was another one that asked for just a small turn of front wing, 4 tires and fuel, 6.9 to stop for McLaughlin.
Same for Ericsson, 2 very speedy stops from the Penske and Andretti Global teams. Is on track. Siegel, the leader, he's now being attacked. That's Malukas in the 66. He is pit. So he's a lap down. He's trying to unlap himself, and there's McLaughlin blending back on right in front of Siegel, staying on the lead lap.
And I'm watching the PPG car there at Joseph Newgarden in terms of where he blends back in after those green flag stops relative to his teammate McLaughlin. So there's Newgarden back there.
And the caution is out. That is Kiffin Simpson.
Tough to tell. I mean, the back end just comes around in the middle of 3 and 4 in pretty aggressive fashion. I'm sure it was a big surprise for the rookie.
Let's go again.
Great start for Malukas. You've got Graham Rahal in the mix there, a lap down.
Well, Malukas spun up the rears coming off turn 4 and almost lost it. That allowed Scotty Mack in the number 3 Team Penske car to jump Malukas. And here's Newgarden going side by side, gets around Graham Rahal.
The black and yellow Gainbridge car is still moving forward. Colton Herta is up to 7th. Championship leader Alex Palou is right in front of him in 6th. He started back in 16th.
But now Herta going to be under pressure. He's got to defend against the Meyer Shank machine. You see Rossi having to go defensive from Stingray Robb as well. There's Ericsson. You keep an eye on Ericsson. He's the one with fresh tires. First one in line with the fresh Firestones. And let's see what kind of progress he can make.
Fresh tires, but a long way to go on fuel if they're going to try to do it on 2 more stops.
David Malukas is stopping.
Just going back to Ericsson quickly, mentions MGU fault as Colton Herta dives into pit lane. MGU is one of the components of the hybrid system, so that seems to be something that affected what happened there as his teammate Dylan comes down to pit lane.
So here is Colton Herta, and he is carrying the torch now for the Andretti Global Group with problems for Kyle Kirkwood early in the race and now problems for Marcus Ericsson. Herta will hit his marks here. Hasn't said a bunch on the radio about the balance of the race car on this run. They'll just change Firestone tires, add Shell fuel as well, and then a quick front wing change for Herta.
So probably the second to last stop for Colton Herta as Joseph Newgarden peels off.
He was one of the first to stop in this strategy. And one of the first again, Georgia.
Yeah, absolutely. Joseph Newgarden making yet another pit stop for Firestone tires and Shell fuel. He's been relatively happy with the car other than the slight push, but they're not going to make any adjustments on the race car as well.
Will Power joining him with all the split strategies. It almost seems like there's pit stops happening every 10 laps somewhere throughout the field. Pit lane very busy.
And during this sequence, it'll tell us where is Scott Dixon. Will Power, Team Penske, looking crisp and precise. 7-3 there for Will Power. What does Alex Palou have? 7-4.
Two of the best teams on pit lane, consistently going to within a 1/10 of a second of each other. Now Newgarden, fresh rubber, back on track. That's around David Malukas.
Malukas only pitted a lap or 2 earlier, so he has just a lap or 2 older Firestones, and that's why he's fighting Newgarden so hard.
Battle for position, and Newgarden wins this fight.
Newgarden's teammate McLaughlin, he's off. Let's see where he blends out in relation to this battle.
Stingray Robb has cycled to the front. I know he's on a different strategy, but he's been quick. He's been having a good night in the AJ Foyt racing car with the 3rd fastest lap of the race.
So there's McLaughlin, second car in line there. Several cars buffer in between himself and Joseph Newgarden.
So Stingray Robb shown as the leader, but he'll have to pit soon. Along with Fittipaldi and Lundqvist. Look at this getting jammed up between teammates. Newgarden the high side, Will Power down low. They'll split Lundqvist potentially. Oh, that's close.
And that just kills the momentum of Lundqvist. Power doing a great job of predicting that was going to happen. Didn't run up the back of him in the middle of the corner. Timed that beautifully to get the run into 1, and he clears the Ganassi driver. It's Newgarden keeping the roll going on that high line.
Right around the outside on Pietro Fittipaldi for position, sort of. Not on the same strategy, but it's track position because you want to run fast laps right now.
Now, let's talk a little bit of strategy as we ride on board with Will Power. If Scott Dixon can make it on 1 more stop, he's not in a good situation. He's 23 seconds back, maybe 18 seconds back of McLaughlin, but he has to save more fuel to get to that 1 more stop. So the 2 strategies now have converged. All of the front runners, 1 more stop to get to the end.
It's about a 34-second buffer, like we talked about, that you've got to make up on track, and they're 2/3 of the way there with still quite a bit of racing to go.
Scott Dixon comes to pit lane for what might be his final stop.
66 laps to go. It's a big ask for Scott Dixon in the 9.
Watch McLaughlin here try to work his way through traffic. They're too wide in front of him.
And he's going to try to put the championship
Here
leader,
comes
Alex
Newgard.
Palou, a lap
Look
down.
at the run. Newgard to the high side of Herta. He's got a big run on his teammate.
And here he comes on McLaughlin. Can he use the traffic to his advantage? McLaughlin clears. He's wiggling. Newgard's coming through. Can he hang on?
No!
Newgard going around.
That's what I was talking about. That light gray is so dangerous up high.
All clear behind, all clear behind.
What a save.
He only lost 2 positions, guys. I imagine those are flat spotted tires, though. The yellow came out quickly as it has to on an oval. That was a remarkable save for Newgarden.
And that caution keeps Scott Dixon in play. Maybe not for the win, but at least to make it home and get a decent result and stay in the championship.
But remember, Dixon had just pit.
Yes.
I think this helps Dixon.
No,
he's
it definitely
he's
helps him.
currently 2 laps down. Let's see what happens when he crosses the line, because he was just in the pits. But if he's stuck 2 laps down, this will not help Scott Dixon at all. We just need to make sure once they cross the line and everything cycles through. But yeah, this is we were just talking about how he needed a little bit of help. 66 laps was what the issue was going to be, or the ask was going to be from Dixon.
Yeah, you're right.
Right,
Yeah.
James.
Yeah.
I think
No,
it came
'cause, yeah.
just a little too late, that yellow.
Because there it is. He's behind Scott McLaughlin on the racetrack. Scott Dixon will cross the line, traps 2 laps down, so he'll get 1 back.
Now, do they all pit here under the caution?
You have to.
We've seen 61 laps on a green flag, I believe, so they
This
should be able to
changes
make
everything. This potentially puts the leaders in a situation where they've got to save mad fuel if they come to the box right now.
Absolutely.
I think you have to your point.
And a big advantage, obviously, for McLaughlin as
This
he
is
heads
an
to pit
interesting
lane.
part at this racetrack is for McLaughlin. He could jump the apron there. Look at the gap he has on Joseph Newgarden because of all the cars that stayed out.
split strategies with Team Penske. Will Power stayed out.
2 Penske's in, 1 Penske out. Now it's down to the race and pit lane.
Yeah, it should be pretty easy for McLaughlin to get out ahead of Newgarden because of that apron gap where he passed the pace car. You're allowed to do that. All good for McLaughlin.
That's the championship leader, Palou, back there at 7th, and we know Colton Herta is fast. We watched him carve through the field from his 25th starting position at the beginning of the race. Here we go again from Gateway. Will Power with the early jump on Malukas. McLaughlin running in 3rd, side by side a little further back.
And remember, there's only 8 cars on the lead lap right now, so some of the cars in between are not for position. Like this one right here, you see McLaughlin going around Marcus Armstrong. That one not for position, so you got to be very careful about knowing who you're racing and who's actually a lap down right now.
Newgarden is looking up ahead to Scott Dixon, who is 2 laps down right now because he was on pit lane that just exited when the caution came out.
Not shy about getting high in turn 2 again after what happened, making that work.
But he knows that the sweepers have been at work, so Newgarden has a clean billiard table to work with as several drivers follow in suit. Palou looking pretty racy further back.
Siegel on the high side. That's Connor Daly below. That one not for position. Daly 2 laps down, Siegel 1 lap down. Everybody's on their own program, it seems.
And Will Power just turned the fastest lap of the race by a chunk, a 25.7. McLaughlin, a 25.9, but presumably McLaughlin's going to have to tune it back now and start to save fuel, while Will Power effectively is going to do qualifying laps and try to open up the gap to make 1 more stop. So there goes David Malukas. So he's bailing out, making his last stop. Dylan The Arctic Wolf car coming to you.
Yeah, and this is going to be interesting because listening to McLaughlin's radio too, they are now talking maybe about having to do a splash and go. So Will Power will come in as well. This should just be a splash and go and a tire change for Malukas. So this is ever evolving, and we'll try and keep an eye on just who's doing what down here as Malukas completes his service.
This has been fascinating. Power comes down. Clearly the last stop for Malukas and Power, so that's what we know. They don't need to stop. The others, maybe they do, or they need to save big.
Just can't see any scenario where they would have made that last stop had it not been good enough to get to the end.
Well, and now there's hard.
And there's no pressure. Now that Power's bailed, he's got to try to make up an entire pit stop on the racetrack, passing cars in 40 laps. That's going to be nearly impossible to do. Right now, McLaughlin lapping, I mean, at one point it was over half a second faster than Newgarden. He's got a 6.5 second gap. He can really cruise from here.
And there you get a sense of just how far Will Power drops back to a lap down.
So the Power and Malukas camp wanted to stay green. It would just take a caution, you would think, for the McLaughlins, Newgardens, Rossies, and others to make it home.
40 laps to go.
I don't think they need it.
Let's listen here, guys. Some radio from Joe Newgarden.
The 3's going hard.
Absolutely have to hit that too.
Next car's a 7 at start finish, so we can just do our thing here and see what happens.
Right, so just big save.
Try and make a number. Try and make the number.
Okay, so Hinch, I think we need to walk back a little bit of
They're
this
talking
because
about
Tim
a splash.
Cindric just said that the 3 is going hard. And if that is the case, then McLaughlin, like Dylan Welch just reported, might have to splash.
So you know who's sitting pretty, guys, is Colton Herta in 5th place. Pitted last on lap 203. That 4 extra laps could be huge.
Now those were 4 yellow laps, so it's not as big of a gap, but it's still a nice margin for the Gamebridge driver. Here he comes. Watch Malukas. Big run off of turn 4.
He'll look to the inside on Will Power. This could be effectively for the win. Side by side with Kevin. They touch. And
Malukas is in
he
the wall.
goes around. Heavy damage for David Malukas. Battling for Will Power for what might have been the win, and it ends in tears for Malukas.
Is that enough for race control to lean in?
Low. 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 All right.
Has a good hit, too, from Malukas.
Now, keep in mind, Will Power knows what happens to his teammate Joseph Newgarden earlier when he got up into the gray. So he's hugely motivated.
And they're both in. Okay, so they had to come in. That tells me they did not have enough fuel left to do it. They had to come in anyway. It's now a race on pit lane between these two crews, and it'll be a shootout.
Do you take tires?
You cannot take tires. There's no time to take tires. The fuel fill will be so short.
I don't know. They've burned a lot of gas
doing
here.
it.
Newgarden takes tires.
Oh, here's why you do it, because you're only racing each other, and now you've got a new tire advantage over the cars behind. Herta, Power, Lundqvist.
Look at Newgarden did 5.1. How can the 3 team respond?
They can't. They can't.
How do you do a 5.1 second pit stop?
Because you would need almost no fuel. It was just how quickly can you get 4 Firestones on, and that right there could have been, you're hearing save fuel. They put in just enough to get him to the end, even with a bit of saving. That's some clever early pull
but this
from
thing
Tim
is
Cindric.
far from over. They might have won the battle on pit lane, but with 17 to go.
Do what you got to do with tire. Do what you got to do with tire.
Changing 4 Firestones in 5 seconds is lightning fast.
Oh, yeah. Newgarden really slow to bring him to speed as there's a crash with Rossi and Power.
In the back, you see Jack Harvey as well. Connor Daly gets some debris. This might cause a red flag, guys. This might cause a red flag. They don't want to finish this race under caution. You're not going to clean up 3 cars in 9 laps.
IndyCar has time.
Paul, hey, come down the pit lane. Ask him if we can come down the pit lane.
Tim Cindric does not want debris on his tires for his driver, Joseph Newgarden.
Come down pit lane.
Yeah, red flags out either way. That was an incredibly slow start from Joseph Newgarden. You're supposed to maintain pace car speed. I almost feel like he went below pace car speed. But a really, really big blow for Will Power. This is huge for the championship. Alex Palou's lead grows significantly. Rossi on course for one of his best results of the season. This is a tough break.
Boy. Did you see the signal that Will Power just sent to his teammate Joseph Newgarden about that restart?
It was slow, Townsend. Like I said, you're supposed to maintain pace car speed.
So there's time for race control to review that.
There sure is.
On Joseph Newgarden.
McLaughlin was right on his gearbox.
So yeah, I mean, did Rossi just miss time?
I don't know that Newgarden did anything wrong. It looked consistent speed-wise. It was slow, but it was consistent, and the green light came on.
Going late. Go
No,
away.
there was a speed adjustment there from Power, so you can't really put that all on Rossi either. We have to watch this a couple times from both cars.
It sounded like Power jumped and then had to get off it.
You're trying to roll green, green, green.
By the way, a win tonight would be number 31. That would move him into a tie in the top 10 with legends Paul Tracy, Dario Franchitti, and Elio Castroneves. And here we go again. Is this the final restart? And it's a great jump for Newgarden. The battle is going to be back there for third. Championship leader Palou under attack from his teammate Linus Lundqvist going around the outside.
The rookie looking racing, Lundqvist to the high side. Boy, Newgarden played that one completely different this time. Much higher speed, got an early jump, and clean air for Joe New.
For Palou, that's the last car on the lead lap. There's no need for him to fight anybody. He leaves here with more of a championship lead, but for his teammate Linus Lundqvist, he wants that podium. He had one earlier this year at Barber Motorsports Park. He is all over the 26 of Colin Herta.
There now. He's there.
Side by side, Lundqvist, the rookie, on Herta, and he's got him up to third. Linus Lundqvist might be staking a claim that, hey, I deserve to stay in IndyCar, and he is gapping Colton Herta. There are a lot of questions in silly season as to who's going to be where next year. Linus Lundqvist, who dominated the Indy Next and Indy Lights Championship 2 years ago, wants to solidify his position.
He had his first podium at Barber Motorsports Park earlier in the year, but James, this is prime time to get a pop result as we take another look. Herta trying to defend.
He just had too good of a run off at two Townsend. Nothing Herta could do. He made a stab at defending, but had to do the right thing there. Still a great comeback drive from Colton if he can hang on to a fourth place.
Linus Lundqvist does have a podium this season at Barber, but his second best finish is 12th. He is having the drive of his life tonight.
Understand that the defensive move from Colton Herta is under review from race control as Newgarden gonna see one to go at the line.
4 times the winner at this racetrack already, trying to make it 5 for 9. Not many drivers have that many wins at a racetrack. White flag for Newgarden.
McLaughlin is still pedaling, but Newgarden has him by a big gap.
Danny Sullivan did it back in 1985. We talked about that, the spin and win. Kevin, half a lap to go.
For Joseph Newgarden, this is going to be win number 31 into the top 10 all time. He's the king of corn country. Is he now the master of the mighty Mississippi? 5th time for a win at World Wide Technology Raceway. Joseph Newgarden has won in St. Louis.
There's going to be fireworks in the Penske truck after this one as well, because Will Power not happy. Scott McLaughlin will be disappointed. And this guy here elated with yet another win at Gateway.
You said over the radio after the checkered flag, we needed that one. Just how badly did you need it?
Well, I think the team needed it. You know, they've done a great job. On the 2 cars specifically, they've done a really good job. They've given me race-winning cars throughout the year, even past Indy, and you know they haven't materialized. So it's nice to get another one on the board. And you know the worst part about that is obviously the 12 not making it home. I mean, I hate that happened at the very end. I don't. You know, I mean, I watched it on the TV. It kind of looked like the green went out before I went, just momentarily, and it caused a big accordion. So I hate that happened. I mean, it's the last thing you want with 10 to go is to create a mess. So I wasn't trying to do that, but, you know, this team did an amazing job. We've had fast cars right from the start, and I'm just really proud to have the PPG car back in victory lane with Team Chevy.
Would you have done anything different on that last restart?
No. I mean, I was trying to go as late as I could at the end of the zone. I've done that a lot, so I wouldn't have done anything different.
Up next, it's the BitNile.com Grand Prix of Portland, Sunday, August 25th. Watch it at 3 p.m. on USA Network.